Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone for 3 months, I guess. Coming back with the list of books which I read in July, August, September. And let's get started. So the first book I read was Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I decided to take this book up because the finale wasn't up to the mark. I didn't feel like saying goodbye to the universe, which was, created so beautifully. So I started reading the books again. And honestly, the show was so well adapted. The first season is equivalent to the first book in the series, and all the dialogues are the same, the exact same. There's no difference in the dialogues, but it's very interesting to see the story unfold from the point of view of characters, which we never really got to see in the show, because you don't know what's going on in the character's mind. So it's really interesting to read the chapters or read the story from point of view of different characters. And it also kind of refreshed my season 1 memory, like spoilers for those who haven't seen the show. Daenerys kills Drogo in the series, and I had forgotten about it. And when I read it in the book, I thought, oh, maybe they omitted this, but then I went back and saw the episode again, and yeah, she does kill Drogo. So yeah, it refreshed my memory, and it was a good book. And it also starts with White Walkers, like the prelogue. The story starts off with White Walkers, so it's really the show is really a good adaptation of the books. And up until the last few seasons, they really did do a good job. And we're not gonna go into why the final season was how it was. There's a whole video of it dedicated to it, but then I like the book, so that's that. The next book I read was Hamlet by Shakespeare, and this is not the version which I read / listened to, but this is just a small gift which a friend of mine gave. It's so cute, just look at it. It's so cute, and I love it. It's so tiny. I didn't read from this edition. I had a different book with text which is easier to read than this very small fine print. But yeah, so this time I switched it a little bit. I wanted to listen to the audiobook and audio adaptation as well as refer the text. And I feel Shakespeare's plays have to be listened to or watched before you read them and actually understand them, because he wrote plays and you're not supposed to read a play. You can't read a play. You either listen to it, you have to see or visualize it, or have it performed in front of your eyes, or to actually appreciate or understand, because a lot of emotion is lost in text, primarily because the writing which is in Shakespeare's plays is very archaic and very old, and is difficult to understand normal language. So having a bit of visualization is always better to understand Shakespeare's plays. And I listened to this BBC's dramatization of Hamlet, and it was amazing. It did take me a lot of time to read it, rather than actually just skimming the pages of Hamlet. But every time you read Hamlet, it's a different experience, as a lot of you might know. And every time you read any Shakespeare work, no matter how many times you read it, it always has a different you understand something different in it. And this time too, there were so many monologues in here which I had interpreted in a different way, and when I heard it and read it at the same time, referring the text, there was a different meaning or a hidden meaning to it, which I discovered. And no matter how many times you go back to this, it gets better every time. The next book I read was How to Kill Hitler, A Guide for Time Travelers by Andrew Stanek. Now, how I discovered this book was very weird. I was just browsing through Goodreads, and a couple of strangers had read this book, and it was coming up on my feed quite a few times. And I just, just out of curiosity, just checked out the reviews. It had mixed reviews. Some of them really liked it, and some of them hated it. So I decided to give it a chance. I downloaded the sample and I loved the sample, so I bought the book. It wasn't very expensive. I loved the book. I completely loved the book. First and foremost, it is so funny in an intelligent way, which is the best way, I think. And it's just not. It's funny without trying to be funny. I'm not sure if this is for everyone, but I love the book. And especially because it has pictures in it, and pictures with hilarious captions underneath it, and it's just so good. And it's a tiny book. It's 150 pages, I think, not even that long. So you can finish it in a week, and less than a week, and it really helped me on my daily commute to work, and it made the journey a little more tolerable. And another thing, there's this nice, acknowledgements or a last chapter in the book, which thanks you for buying the book and encourages you to review the book on Goodreads or other platforms of sharing, and also has a side note that if you want to talk about anything, just email me at and the author's email ID. So I ended up mailing the author, and I never do this. Mind you, how much ever I like a book, I resist the urge to mail authors, and this time I just did it. I don't know why, but I just did it. And the best part is the author replied in 10 minutes. How kind a person has to be to do such a sweet gesture. I mean, he must be getting tons of mail, and he took time out to reply to that, which is very sweet. I don't know if I am such an editing genius, but I'll try and include the mail somewhere here so that you guys can check it out too. Then I read Trial by Franz Kafka. I gave this book a shot because I had read Metamorphosis by same author earlier in the year, and I had loved that book, partly because it was an audiobook narrated by Benedict Cumberbatch, but that is not the point. I had liked the story and the ending, and the whole book was really eye-opening and very nice. Okay, the metaphors were very nice. But then this book, Trial by Franz Kafka, from the start, it was so confusing. You don't know what's going on. He is talking in circles all the time, and you don't know why the main character is going through what he is going through. What is the crime that he has committed? And I guess that is the whole point of the book, trying to, make the reader feel the agony what the character might be going through. But it just didn't. I just didn't feel this time, and I felt the writing was a bit old too, so it's difficult to grasp it. So that maybe that's why, I just didn't. It just didn't connect. After the disaster that was the Trial, I really wanted something to take my mind off, and I just really wanted to, read something which I just could understand without breaking my head. So I read Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. Now this is I don't generally read Agatha Christie because to start an Agatha Christie novel is very difficult. Once the murder is committed, you're good. You can't put down the book. But then, by the time the murder happens, it's just long, rambling, and I don't know. I haven't read Agatha Christie in so long. I think this was after 3 or 4 years, I think, or more than that. So it was nice to go back to, Hercule and his detective skills. I was scared. I mean, I just picked it up because it was Agatha Christie. I hadn't, seen if it is Hercule mystery or Miss Marple mystery. So, thankfully, it was Hercule. And I'm nothing against Marple, but I just like how the way he talks and how the way he conducts an investigation. So I It was okay. I mean, I've read so many murder mysteries now that I have kind of started to expect the unexpected. So, next I read Sputnik's Sweetheart by Murakami. Now, I was on a break, not a friend's reference. I was on a break from Murakami for a little while, and for good reasons. The last book I read of his was, I think, After Dark, I think, and that wasn't very good. So I picked up Sputnik's Sweetheart because it had good reviews, and boy was I wrong. This book is mediocre, more or less. It is not, doesn't have the dreamy quality that Murakami is known for. The story is moderate, ending is predictable. Unlike Murakami stories where, the story ends just about when it's supposed to start, this ends right away, and it's not, it's very normal for Murakami's, standard. So I guess I was disappointed by how the story turned out. So I listened to a couple of audiobooks. This was from Audible's Audible Originals monthly free audiobooks which you get, and this one was, I think, the best of the four which were offered, and it was good because it was surround sound, and it was a good story. In my opinion, it was a little short for audiobook, maybe say 200 pages in written prose, and the feel of the audiobook was really nice. And when I say feel, it had surround sound, so not only were there dialogues but background noises as well, which you commonly wouldn't hear in an audiobook. So that was it was kind of like listening to a drama or a dramatized text, and it was really good. Then I read Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the author's name correctly, but I really wanted to read graphic novels, not only because they're easy to read and quick to read, but I wanted to read a text which captured the local people's dilemma and local people's angst and anger when Iran went through its Islamic Revolution. And I knew I had two options: either read long books and of difficult text to understand what actually happened, or you could read a fun and not fun exactly, but easier and very lucid book which captures the same and in a very nice and presentable manner. So I picked up this book to read it. I haven't read many graphic novels, so I really enjoyed reading this. It just has black and white pictures and comics, and it's very easy to read, and it captures all of what happened with people living in Iran and how they had to endure the Islamic Revolution, and how some of them tried to flee the country before anything bad happened, and how the locals who decided to stay had to cope with the differences overnight, differences and changes overnight, and come to terms with their country being ruled by a religious body. The last book I read was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sanz. I had this book in my to-read list for so long, and it was so expensive that I just couldn't get my hands on it, and I wanted to listen to it and not read it. I could have bought the book and read it, but I knew it was narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so I had to get the audiobook. Thankfully, Audible had a sale recently where you were getting 3 books for 2 credits. So I got this book for free, and I was so happy I got my hands on this, because let me tell you, this book is so good. It's not just for young adults. It's for any person who is going through life and has inhibitions or is not very decisive. It's a coming of age book, but it's not meant for just for younger audiences. It's made for all ages. I mean, the author himself is quite old. He's not that young, but I loved listening to this, and it's amazing to see how Aristotle and Dante become friends and talk about life, and the ending is really sweet, and this made me cry. The book actually made me cry. I'm really glad I picked this up. So yeah, that's that. Those are my books for July, August and September, and I'll see you guys in the next video, I guess. Sorry, I've been away for so long. I recently gave an exam, and I think so I did okay-ish in it. I'll see you guys next time, I guess. Bye.